Okay, so excuse me, Jimmy Okunola with eXp Realty. Want to set up a quick training on zip forms and Skyslope and how to integrate your zip forms and bring all your information right into Skyslope for you EXP agents. And this is specifically for my mentees. So let's get this started. Let's get this done. Let's set up some stuff here real quick. That is fine. It's not going to do that. So let's get this going. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can get into the training. Here we go. Let's move this around. And I'm not going to be able to edit this, but it's pretty straightforward. So let's go into your zip forms. Now you go into the zip forms, you're probably going to land straight on your dashboard. Right up top, you have dashboard, you have your transactions. If you already have transactions already set up in there, you have your templates, you have your, these are the templates that I already had set up in my system based on where most or majority of my businesses are coming from. You can actually go into this and set it up real easily. So for example, let's say I want to set up a new one. Let's say I'm setting this up for a purchase offer. And I can say, I'll just call it Maryland, say Charles County. I can just do that, Charles County. It's a residential deals. I'm going to tell you not to automatically apply any of the templates. And, you know, I can come in and select this, but since I'm doing a brand new one, we're going to just do it like that. And it's going to go ahead and modify that. Now I have my template for Charles County. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my forms. And I will go ahead and, because I know Charles County deals, I love to use the MAR forms. So I'll just use MAR forms, or you can actually select all right here. So you can also, if you want to do it as a GCAR forms, you can do that. And all you gotta do is just select all GCAR forms. Now, because we're doing Charles County, there's some forms that is not gonna be in here in zip forms, so you'll have to actually pull those forms from Skyslope, and I'll show you how you can get those. All your Southern Maryland realtor forms will be in Skyslope in the office docs. But just for training purposes, again, like I said, you can select whatever library you want to use right here. And in this case, I am actually going to just select GCAR. I'm going to use GCAR. I really will use GCAR here. So the first thing I want to add onto this is I want to add my cover sheet. So you add that. I know I'm going to need addendum of clauses. So I'm going to add that form. I know I'm going to use, might need some blank addendums at some point. So I'll use that. You can actually go in here to select your checklist for Montgomery County, or for GCAR form, so you can add that. It's going to give you a breakdown of all the items that you need to have in there since you're using GCAR forms. So you want to make sure that you have that checklist to know exactly the things that you're putting on there. The next thing that I will do is, again, I'm going to select my consent for dual agency forms. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put my understanding, well, I happen to know these forms off the top of my head pretty much. So that's the reason why I'm going like that. So I'm adding the forms that I know I will need. If you're not sure, you can actually, look in, if you're not certain what forms, you can go right here and look on the checklist, and it's going to tell you all the forms that you need since you represent the buyer, or you're understanding whom real estate agents represent, consent for dual agency, notification of dual agency within a team, your buyer's agency agreement. So all of these forms, it tells you have them by number or you have them by name. And the good thing about this is when you actually start to type them in, they will actually pop up for you. So I can just say understanding, and it's going to tell me boom right there. So I need to add that form. buyer's agency agreement. So there are several ways that you can do this. Or if you do buyer's agency and it doesn't come up, you can just go back and say agency. And when you say agency, it says right, exclusive right to represent or dual agency. Boom, that's what you need. Or you need agency agreement. That's what you need. I believe this exclusive right, let's see, because some of these forms have been changed in a while, so some of them might actually be removed. Okay, so you have this right here. This is your exclusive right to represent, but this is actually dual agency tenant agreement. So we do not need that, but you get the idea. So these are the forms. This is the actual agency agreement that you need. This is really the one that you need. So what I'll do is, because I'm building a profile not for tenants or not for a lease, so I will actually remove that form just because of what I'm trying to build. And that's how you easily simply remove a form. And you go back here, and what other forms do you need? Let me remove agency, so we can make sure we have all the other forms, and we are doing GCAR. So let me go down here and I'll select all of my forms. I'm gonna go to Montgomery County and I'll put all the other forms that I know I need there. Buyer's estimated selling cost, put that there. Your COVID-19, since we're still in the era of COVID-19, you wanna add that to it. If the, well, this, if you were doing Montgomery County or anything like that, and it's a Tacoma park offer, you need to make sure that you put that in there for the city of Tacoma. But again, remember what we're doing here. I'm trying to build something for Charles County, which is also part of St. Mary's County. So I want to limit it to those things that I know I'm going to need. We know we're going to need the contract of sale, since this is a profile for buyers. So we're going to put on there. There's some forms in there that you do not need because they need to be provided by the listing agent. So you don't worry about those. If you think you might need an escalation clause form, why don't you put that in there? You know we need the escrow agreement, so we're going to put that there. We know if we're doing an FHA loan, we need that in there. But since we may or may not be doing an FHA, you know, depending on what it is, you want to add all the other conventional addendum and all that other stuff in there. Again, you just build in your network of what you're going of forms that you're going to need. So we're going to add conventional financing on there. Let's see, exclusive right, we don't need that. Is not FISBO, we don't need that. You can put this on there because you're going to need that at some point. What else do we need here? We need the HOA, we don't need that. That's going to be provided. Let's see, that's going to be provided. We don't need that. All of those needs to be provided by the agent on the other side. So what else do we need here? Boom, boom, boom. We don't need that. Okay, cool. Pretty much looks like we have all the things that we need. If anything else is missing that is needed, we can always go back and get that. I believe I already have the understanding. Maybe I don't. Understanding own real estate agents understand. Yes, I do have it. That's why it says remove form. So that's already in there. Excellent. So we have all of those forms in there. You can actually now go and organize them if you want them to be in a certain order. If you can think ahead of how you want your files to look when you actually send it and writing an offer. To organize is very easy. We're not going to go into details on making this look perfect, but just to show you how to organize, you click right here, organize, and then you just begin to move each folder to where you want it to be, how you want it to look, in what order. So I normally will go understanding own real estate, consent for dual agency. I'll put those in that order. Buy agency agreement, I'll put that on there. For your protection, get a home inspection, I'll put that there, and so on and so on. Oh, don't forget to make sure you put forms like your pamphlet on equal housing. You want to make sure that you include that on there as well. So once you arrange everything the way you want it to look, you click done organizing, and you're pretty much done on that. Then the next thing is Since that is already set up, we are good over there, and we can now go back because there's nothing else that we need to do over here other than, oh, you can actually do this. You can go to the parties because this is going to be your form so that you don't have to do this again. You can click on buy side, all right? And since you're going to be the listing, the selling agent, you're doing this for yourself, you can just go right in there and put your name in there. You're the selling agent, you know, put your information in there, and that way you don't have to worry about, you know, filling this out again. Here's my old information on there when I used to work for a company that shall remain unspoken. Actually, why is it doing that? Let's go back up here. Let me look for myself. Here we go. So I pull myself right here, even though it says that's my role, but we can easily change that. So this is me. He has my information there. And right here, I'm going to change this to Lisa Lowe and make sure I have Lisa's email address where contracts would go to. So, and that's md.broker@exprealty.net. That needed to be changed. So perfect. So we have that in there. I have my office phone number on there, my office address, and my listing category. Category is buyer. I don't know why I was listing on that. But in any case, so that's it. I have my cell phone number in there. I have my business phone number in there. Every single thing that is needed is there. So you are good. License number, we need to change that. Is 6134 for Lisa. And this is either EXXP1 or EXXPR1 because I'm also DC. So I'm going to actually change that to EXP1. And that's it. You save that. So that's going to transfer to all of every single thing on that template. If you already have title agents that you use or a title company that you use, you can go to service provider and you can actually select your title company that you always use. All right, I have a few in there, so I just go to my address book and I can easily just select the title company that I normally use, and boom, I have it right here. I select this title company. I have several title companies that I use, but just for the sake of explanation, right here, right now, I pick that. If you have a lender that you're using for this particular transaction, if you already have a lender, if you have a lender that you recommended to your clients and that's what they're using, just put that lender's name here. If they got qualified by another lender and you don't have in your address book, just type the information in and you'll be able to get it in. Again, just for sake of time and training purposes, I'm selecting one of my lender of choice that I use, and I put his information in there because it's in the address book. And I'll select again, if this is an FHA loan, I can do that. If it's a conventional loan, just remind myself, I click conventional loan and I save it. You know, it really doesn't matter because you can always change that when you actually go into, this is just a template to apply for any transaction that you're doing. So now I have my lender in there for my buyer. I have my title company there for my buyer. If there's any other, you know, service provider that you need to put in there that you know of already, you can put them in there, and then you complete your template. Then you can go back to your list. And now what we just created right now is right here. Which is actually, there you go, the first one, Maryland, Charles County. So that's done. I can get out of that. That is how you have your templates pre-programmed and sitting in there for you. So now I have a client and I'm trying to put their deal together. They want to purchase in Charles County. So the next thing I do is I click where my transactions are and I click on new. It's a purchase, so I click on purchase. Because I've set everything up correctly, this comes up, then I can either put the client's name in there, or if I know the address where they want to purchase on, we do that. I'm actually going to use the address so that it just makes it easy for some other things that you will end up doing. So let's pick, it's Charles County. So I'm going to pick an address that I know off the top of my head in Charles County, and we're going to use that. Happens to be one of my listings. So we're going to take 10608 Shooting Star Lane, when you start typing, it should come up. And because you have a bunch of shooting star lane, you have a bunch coming up. So we're going to go Waldorf, and there it goes. Now, because I also want to make my life easy, best thing to do is you want to connect it to the MLS. So let's go to the MLS. Let's put that address on there and transfer that information. 10608 Shooting Star. I already know that this property is under contract. So I'm just going to go, I think I have it active. Oops, that's why it's not working. Come on. So let's get rid of that. We're just going to say Shooting Star. And there we go. So I'm going to click this. Then I'm going to highlight this and copy that information. Then I go back to my zip forms. So it's going to be a residential contract. It's going to be, I'm going to call it active because ideally that's what the situation is. I want to apply my templates. So I'm going to go back and look for the Maryland, Charles County that I already set up. So I go in there. Then I click on MLS Connect. It takes me to the screen. I'm going to paste the MLS ID number. I'm going to click this box and say include in my property, include property photo. I tell it to find it. It pops up. I make sure that's the correct address, that's the correct property, and I use listing, and I click save. And instantly, it takes me right to this screen, and all the information is on there for this deal. Things that I do right here, right now to make my life a lot easier so I don't have to do too much typing. I go to the parties. I make sure the parties are correct. This is the name of the seller. I make sure I cross-reference that to the MLS, make sure it's correct because he actually pulled it from the MLS. So it should be correct, but you want to double check. So I make sure that my seller's information is on there. I make sure that the listing agent is correct. I make sure that the selling agent is correct. In this situation, it's got my name on both, but typically we'll have a different listing agent, obviously, because it's come from the MLS, and you know that a Maryland dual agency is not allowed. So you're not going to be the same person on there. And then this will be you who's doing the selling, and this is your title company, your lender for your buyer, all that good stuff. Any other information, we want to make sure is in there for the seller side. If it's not, we want to make sure we fix it. If it needs, if there's a second seller on that, we go to seller number 2 and we add that information on that. Then we go to documents. So every single thing, because it pulled that template, so all the information, the template that we had set up for Charles County, everything comes up here. So you have your information on there. The easiest and best way for you to do this, to minimize your typing, you go to your cover sheet. In your cover sheet, you make sure you check every single thing is correct. What's your buyer's name? If you've already put all of this information in the parties, you're not going to have to do it again. They're going to be there. So just go back so you can see that to make it easy. Let's go to parties. Let's go to buy side. And we're going to say, who's buyer number 1? So we're going to call buyer number 1. I'm just going to call it test. Excuse my typing, can't type right. So test is the customer's name. Last name is Testy1, or Testy is the name. I put the email address on there, or a J, it pops up if you already have something in there. This is just for sake of, right? So client's email pops up in there. You put the client's name in there, you put their own phone number or cell phone number, you put their address, you put all that good stuff in there. You don't need to put the address if you don't have it, or if you don't want it, or if you don't want to, you don't need to. It just happens to be a situation where this is pulling, because I've typed so many times, my information in there. Then you save it. So you have your clients, you have the buyer's information in there. It's only one buyer, so that information is in there. Then let's go back to documents. If I go back into that, this is the most crucial. See how everything instantly pops in there. Now, if you need to change anything, change it, but you shouldn't have to if everything is correct from when you included the party's information. What you now do here is you look through the property information, make sure it's correct. Then you come over here, make sure, you fill in your purchase price. What are they buying the property for? They're buying it for $350. That's what you guys are writing an offer for. When is your purchase agreement day? Let's assume today, because you're writing the offer today. When is your settlement date? Let's project to the future. Do you plan to write for 30 days, 45 days? What are you planning to do in this market? You know, that's relative to your market and what's going on. You may be able to do a 30-day contract, might be 45 days. You know, typically I'll write a contract for 30 days, no more than 45 days, but still negotiable. But you put that information in there. Over here, the selling broker will be you. I represent the buyer. So I'll put my information here. If it should be correct. All I need to be doing right here, right now, is just going over to make sure everything is correct. Then I'm checking also to make sure that the listing broker's information is correct. If it's not, if I'm not sure, if anything is missing or it doesn't look quite right, I go back into the MLS, I get that information, and I put it right there. So that's where you put all that information. Closing information, you don't need to worry about that. You can if you want to, but truly you don't need to worry about that. So all those steps are done. Then you go to save. Easy and straightforward so far. It takes a couple of seconds for this to go back, then you can get out of that screen. Now that you've done that, if you were, now don't forget, we're doing this based on, you already have all agency agreements signed, you already have all that signed. It's the same process. We're just trying to write a contract at this point. If you hadn't done that, if this was you just trying to get a contract out, this is where you're going to, to get an agreement signed, this is where you're going to doing that. The process is the same. If I'm just trying to get my client to, to sign my agency agreement, this is what I'll do. I'll go through the whole process. How's my commission being paid? All of that good stuff. But again, for the sake of what we're trying to do, we're trying to write a contract. So I then go to my contract of sale. When I click on my contract of sale, all of the information is on there because I've actually avoided the law of repetition. But I have to go through them and start looking at what do I need to do. The listing company is between seller and buyer, and this person, I represent the buyer. So I select that. I go make sure this is correct. Any information that I need to put here, I do it. Where is the property located? If I'm using any of these jurisdictional addendum forms, I'm not going to click any of this because this property is not in Montgomery County. Okay. I'm going to put down what the down payment is. Is there a second trust? You fill that information out. Is it an FHA loan or conventional loan? You fill that information out. So you just go through this entire process and fill every single thing out. This is not a contract class. This is just how to get information in zip forms and get it to Skyslope. So I'm not going to go in detail on the, validity or the clarity of contract, because that's not what we're doing in this class. That's going to be a totally different class, which I'll do a recording on another day and another time. So you go through this and just make sure that all the information is correct. You're not ratifying the contract because you don't know when it's going to get ratified. All the information is right here. You know exactly what it is that you're doing. Once you fill all those stuff out, then you click save, and then you come out. Again, a few seconds, and it pops out, and you're able to click back. Again, next thing is we already got a contract. Now, are we doing any kind of addendum on there? So we go to addendum of clauses, and again, you go through that. Is the seller giving any, are you asking for any kind of credit from the seller? If you are, you click on that. Are you asking by percentage, or are you asking by a dollar amount? If you're asking by percentage, put the percentage in there. Is this contingent upon inspection? Yes, it is. You select that. And your contract is going to be until 6 p.m. on the third day or the fifth day or whatever day that you're trying to do on your contingency. You put that number on there. So you fill out all these things out. Are you selecting a right to negotiate? You do that. You go through all of this. Once all that is done, again, you save that, and then you get out of that screen. So now, assuming that you've gotten every single thing on here done, you've done addendum of clauses, you've done your escrow agreement, you've filled out your conventional loan financing, you've put down how much they're putting down 1% for, you've done all of this necessary important stuff. Once all of this is done, then the next thing you want to do is now you want to take this information and move it to your Skyslope. So we go right and we go to send. I click on email. I'll go ahead and I select the files that I want to send to, again, this is just for illustrational purposes. So we just select all the forms that I want to send to my Skyslope. Then I click next. I click my name. Then I can send that folder right to my email, and boom, it comes to my email. Then I take it from my email and I transfer it to Skyslope. However, there's an easier, better way as opposed to you having to do it twice. So one, I'm going to get an email to myself. The second thing is, now let's go into Skyslope. I'm going to assume that don't let's assume. So I finished that part. Now let's create a transaction. So I come over here. I'm going to show you step by step on how to create a transaction. So I'm going to create a transaction, which I'm going to delete later on. And this is how you work in Skyslope. 10608 is the address that I'm using. I already have this deal loaded in here, but I'm going to do it in a different way because I want to show you every step. So I pick that property, and then it tells me it imports everything successfully. I'm going to put what the MLS ID number is because I already have that. I put that in there. So I'm going to go through this process now. What are we buying the property for? We're buying it for, or we're writing a contract for $350 on this property. What's my source? Is it open house, personal referral, whatever my source is? I select that. Is it an office lead? It's no. Acceptance date, we're going to assume again is today because we're writing this contract for today. So I go over here to everything that is in asterisk and is in red is important. You click where it says office. If you're only registered in the state of Maryland or in the state where you're doing your business, only that state is going to show up. If you have a jurisdiction license in other states, they all will pop up here. It's a Maryland deal. I'll select the appropriate state that you're doing this transaction in. The next thing is we're going to select the checklist type. This is where it's important. Remember, this is a Charles County deal. So I'm going to go and select Charles County. This helps you and me. It helps you it reminds you, and you're going to see it later on when it gets to checklist. It pulls all the information that you need, the required documents that you're going to need for that county. That's why it's very important that you know the county and where you're doing this business in. So we select that. Everything else is good. What kind of representation is this way you're going to find it? Again, we know this is a purchase. I represent the buyer, so I'm going to select that. What year is the property built? You find that information in the MLS. I happen to remember, I believe that this was built in 2009. So you put that in there. What's your closing date? Again, you assume your projected closing date. In this case, I believe I selected the 30th. So we click next. If anything is missing, it's going to be a red sign that comes up on this side and tells you that, sorry, you missed something, go back and get it done. Then it takes you to this screen, seller. So you go in here and you start putting the seller's information. If you know the seller's information, which you should from the MLS or from public records, you put it in here. If this is a client, if this is someone that you think is already in the system, you can just search for them where it says search contacts. Again, for the sake of just doing this the easy, straightforward way, I'm going to assume names. So I'm going to say the seller's name is seller 1, and their last name is test seller. That's all I need to put on there. I save that because I'm representing the buyer. I'm not going to communicate or contact the seller, so I don't need anything but just that. Purchaser, this is who I should know all the information because I represent them, and we were using testy for the name. So we're going to do that. I think testy 1. My memory fails me. But in any case, that's what we do. It's important that we have their phone number. So we're going to put their phone number in there. It's important that we have their email. We're going to put their email in there. These ones you cannot avoid. It's extremely important because when you want to start sending email for signature and all that good stuff, you want to make sure that this is a very, very accurate information. You say click save. See, check mark. I cannot go to the next step. I cannot go to lender, skip any step if I don't go through each one of them. So title and escrow. What title company am I using? I already know the one I was using based on what I've been doing before, or based on what I even already entered in the system. So I picked that title company, and boom, the information is preloaded. I go, who's the agent on the other side? If it's an agent that I know that because I've done business with before and they're in the system here, I can start typing their name and they'll pop up. So let's just type the agent's name. So we start typing this guy's name, a bunch of Jimmy comes up. Again, just for ease, I'm going to use myself because I'm the agent on this, right? So we put that in there. You make sure that the brokerage is correct. You make sure that, every single information is correct in there. It's important, please, to make sure that you get the correct information, especially on this, because it's going to reflect on your documents. Then we pick the lender. I happen to know that my lender, again, in this deal is Andrew Price. So I start typing Andrew. Sometimes, okay, here we go. So I click in, Andrew is selected, and again, I go save. Now, if it's a cash deal, just click NA, cash deal, and boom, you're done. And all of that information is selected. Another quick thing, if this was a business deal, for example, let's say your seller is a business, is a company, or is a trust. You don't need to fill all this part out. You just need to select right here and say, this seller is a trust or a company. When you do that, then it will give you the option for you to fill that information in. Okay, so now it's the same thing. If the purchaser is not an individual, if they're purchasing in the name of a company or in the name of a trust, again, you do the same thing. You select that because the parameters are different. So once all that information is put in there, you click submit. And once you click submit, this is now where you start putting the information on commission. I represent the buyer. What's my commission based on what MLS says they're going to pay me? You need to check that to be sure. If it's 3%, you put 3% on there. If there's any deductions, you put that on there. At EXP, we do not hold any earnest money. So I'm going to click no. We don't hold any earnest money. If there's a referral, whether it's an internal referral or an external referral, I click it here. If there is none, I click no referrals. Okay. Obviously, if there is any, you click yes, you're going to have to put, upload the W-9, search for the agent, or if it's a brokerage, you put that information there, and you put on there if it's a percentage you're paying them or if it's a dollar amount that you're paying them. If you're splitting the commission, again, you do the same thing over here, and you put all that information there for commission split. None of that is happening here, so we don't have to worry about that. Is this a personal deal of yours? If it is, yes. If it's not, you say no. If you say yes, there's different parameters of things that it's going to ask you later on to do, or at least it recognizes that that's what you're doing. If you're using a transaction coordinator and there's an admin fee that you've already disclosed, that your client knows, your buyer knows that is going to be charged based on your agency agreement, you put that information in here. If you, just one quick note, if you put in an admin fee or flat fee there, it needs to be consistent across the board on all of your agency agreements. So you can always, waive it if it's a negotiation, but it needs to stay constant on your contracts, on your agency agreements, and you can cross it out and get it initialed if your client negotiates not to pay that. Then you click submit. And the importance of us selecting the correct county is here in your checklist. It tells you every single thing in red are the things that you must have. The beauty of it is, it now comes in and tells you, look at that, Southern Maryland addendum to state contract. That is needed for this deal. The right to farm is needed for this deal. So it takes the guesswork out of the whole thing. So you know exactly the forms that you need. So you can come in there. Documents, that's where we're going to upload some stuff a little bit later. But what I want to do is, I want to now copy this email address so we can go back to the zip forms and get some of our forms, right? So right click, copy the email address. This is the deal that we're doing. Let's go right back here. I'm going to put that email address right there. And you see it comes up, shooting star lane, and it puts the address at Skyslope. I'm going to give it a subject, and I'm going to say contract offer, because I want consistency, right? Now, when I send this, I'm going to get a copy of this email in my email, my regular email. So I'm going to get a PDF version, and I'm also going to get it straight into Skyslope. So I go here and I say send. It pops up because I've linked in setting up my zip forms account. I've already linked my accounts. So everything is accurate, boom, and it sends it. It takes a couple of seconds, and it's going to tell me that my contract is sent. There you go. It says email sent successfully. And then I get an alert in my email that says, boom, you have an email that you just sent, and then you're good to go. So we get out of this now, and we go back to our Skyslope. Now, I'm waiting, that information is going to pop up in here. But what I want to do now is now show you how to get some of the addendums, some of the addenda, that we never got before, excuse my English, that we never got before. Now let's go back and go get those. Let's go and click on here, sorry. So we click over here and I go to working documents. When I click on working documents, it brings me to my personal docs and my office docs. This is a Maryland deal. So I click on office docs and I click on Maryland. And it's going to bring me all of the counties in Maryland. I'm looking for forms for SMAR, S-M-A-R, Southern Maryland addendum forms is what I'm looking for. So I know I need the right to sell. So again, go look at your checklist, get familiar with some of these things. But I know I'm going to need a combined SOMD right to farm. I'm going to take a Southern Maryland addendum, because if we need to make any adjustments, addendums need to be written or whatever, I would rather write it on that as opposed to writing it on a G-CAR form. So we're going to select that because this is county specific. Go through this and see if there's any form that you think you need. If it's a new home, your addendum to a new home sales contract is right here. If you're doing a rental, there goes your rental property condition form. If you need an addendum for credit information summary, you select it here. Let's go to the next page. Southern Maryland clauses for residential land. We're not doing that, but if you need that, this is where you look for. Fair school share housing, we don't need that. Escrow deposit, we don't need that. L by buyers India, we don't need that. Southern Maryland addendum to residential leasing, we don't need that. So we just basically go through everything here and see what we need. We don't need any of that. Let's go to the next page. You can take a blank addendum as well. You can pick one of those just to have it in your folder in case you need it. Addendum to contract. I mean, there's nothing wrong with you picking up all these forms, and if you don't need them, you don't need them. But the best thing to do is cross-check with your checklist, so you already know which forms you need. But just for sake of representation, I'm going to go through all this and see if there's anything else we need. Nothing else. We are good here. So everything is done. Then what I will do is you can actually assign those right that point. You can actually assign the forms to right here. I'm trying to look for the deal. No, that's not the one. Oh, I'm confusing the system because I already have two. So guess what I'm going to do? Let's go back. I'm going to do it this way. So I'm actually going to, instead of doing it like that, because I have two deals and I don't want to go into the wrong one. So go back to Southern Maryland forms. I know I need this form right here. So click on that form. No, that's not what I want to do. Sorry, excuse me. Let's move this to the side. So what I want to do is I want to select here, and actually, yes, I can assign the form, but I know why it's not letting me assign to the form that I want. So let me go back to transactions. Oh, there you go. It just popped up. Okay, good. So now I can assign it. Good. So now let's go back here. So we're back into, let's go back into working documents, Office Docs. Now I can assign Office Docs. Man, the deal just popped up. Before it did not, but now it did. Just so I guess the system is a little bit slower than what I need it to be. Okay, so we know we need the combine assign. We know we need this, and we need. And if there's any other form that we need and we missed, we can always come back and pick it up, right? So let's see, what was the other one? That one. Then I can now assign, and when I say assign, it should pop up. What happened? Did I just lose it again? Huh. Okay. I just lost that again. For some reason, it's showing the older deal that I don't want it to show. So, this is interesting. Okay, so how about I just go right here? How about I just go into, this is good. So if I go over into that deal, okay, this is the transaction. It showed up, but okay, I'm going to pull those in a minute. But in any case, so now every single thing that I transferred from zip forms is right here. These are all just images that I don't need, stuff like that. So I just want to show you that. But so what I do is I just remove all of this because I don't need any of this. This is just zip form images. And I go in there and I put it into trash. You can look at this. These are all the forms, just so you can see and be certain. These are all the forms, 16 pages that I transferred from zip forms. You can rename those forms and just call them contract package, like we said before, or contract offer. So you can rename it, and then you click that to rename it. And so that now that I have this, I wonder why it will not let me pick up. I wonder why it's not letting me see the initial thing that I wanted to see. Why it's not letting me take the forms from the office forms. So let's see, let's try this again. Let me see if it's gonna let me do it now. Because I'm supposed to have the email box on that side, but for some reason, I don't know why. This might be something new that's changed, but in any case, we'll get this. So let's see. And if I click on this, see, I have a sign pop up, but I do not have the email. So if I assign the form, it's supposed to come up here to allow me to assign it. Oh, there you are, finally showed up. Okay, there we are. So it finally showed up, or maybe I was missing it all this time. So that was nice. So let me go back so I can pick both forms that I need, or all the forms that I need. So we go back to Maryland. It does work, folks. It does work. A little bit of sweat, but it works. So we go to that. I click that. I click that form. I know I definitely need those two forms. Then let's pick this one as well. Was it this? I think so. So we click assign. And what I was looking for is right here. So the form that we want to use is, I'm not using this deal because this is a real deal that I'm working on. So we're going to assign it to this because this is the one that we just added, because that's 1030. Perfect. So you assign it. And the moment you assign it, everything's gone in there. Now go back into your transactions. The proof is in the pudding. Let's look at 10608 on transactions. So let's go to documents. And voila, everything I just transferred is right there. So you have those forms right there, right? So done. Finally, yay, it worked. So now, how do we get this paperwork signed, or what do we need to do with it next? So you click on that and you click on that because you want to get those two things signed. Then we go to DigiSign, and this is where you begin to assign and to put things together. So you go over there. I know I'm going to have to sign. I know my purchaser will have to sign, right? In an ideal world, well, once everything is all done and everything is all cool, you want to send it to the agent on the other side and also to the lender. What I will do is I'll click on that, but I don't want that agent on the other side to sign. I just want them to receive the document. So I just click receive a copy. Once it's ratified, you do the same thing. But if you want your lender to see what you're presenting, click on that too, say it receives a copy. So ideally, once your client signs, once your client looks through everything and they sign, these other people will receive a copy of that file. So you go to next, and you begin to assign things to where it needs to go. So let's just go real quick. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to again show you. So we know they have to initial right here. So you click initial, you go right there, you resize this box on how big or how small you want it to be. Who's the person that is initialing? It's my client, is the buyer. So I'll put that in there. It needs to do this one over here as well. I put that right there. Or you can actually put it right there, give space. So you put it right there. The one to write to negotiate, so you do that. So that's how you begin to put all the information in there. If you need to write something on there, for example, you click writable, you put it over there, but make sure you change it to your name because you're the one that is doing this task and you just want them to write something. So you move it like that, place it where you want it to be, type in what you want on there, 3 days, and then you go on to the next one. Oh, they need to, because I'm getting them to sign over there, they do need to initial. So go checkbox, click a checkbox, put it right there, initial, put it there, but then again, change it to your client. Make sure that they're the ones that is going to do that. And that's how you go through the whole process, assigning every single thing to everybody. Signature, buyer needs to sign, that's their name, that's the information right there. They sign right next to it. I give them a date, boom. And you do the same process for every single thing. I put their date on there where they're going to sign. I go back to signature, boom, I do that. Again, let's do one more. So you say, let's do, so you see how easy it is to do. Boom, buyer needs to initial right there, see? And, it's just pretty easy and straightforward. They need to initial right there, boom. So once all of that is done, you go through the entire process. Once every single thing is done, then you click send. Write your email and whatever. Mr. Testy, a test. Please find attached. My typing is slow. Please find attached the contract as discussed. Kindly review and sign. Please call with any questions. Please call with any questions or clarifications. So, so at least they know that you're not just say sign. Hey, protect yourself, let them understand that they still need to read it. And every single thing that you've talked about, if they're not sure, they need to go through it. You click send, and it says sign now. So for your signature, you need to sign now. You adopt a signature that you want to use. You agree to it. You click start. It's the same process that your client's going to get. It takes you through every single thing. Type, if you need to change anything there, type it and change it. Remove that and redo it. Whatever you need to do, you just go through that and boom, it's done. It's gone to them. what I'm going to do, because I don't want any of those clients, my lender to get that, I'm going to void the contract. But once you send it, it goes to, it brings you to this state that says completed, but you have to select sent to go look at what you sent, okay? So I'm going to void what I just sent, so nobody has that to sign. But once I send that, they'll get it. It alerts them. You call them or text them. They go into the folder, and it walks them through, the process of signing. It's that easy. So you are done, and then you can come back to your deal, and then, look at it. So now let's go through. How do you assign? How do you assign? Because remember, we have a checklist, right? So the checklist already told you, the things that you need. So how do you assign them? So I'm assuming that we've received the contract back, everything is all good or whatever the case is, and I want to assign. When you get it back, it's actually going to be a single file. So what I sent out right here that I sent out is going to come back in a single file, because everything has already been merged together. That's how I sent it. Then I'm assuming that this is what came back. So I'm going to click on it, or whichever one it is, I click on that. Now I want to split. So you go to split. This pops up. Make it a little bit bigger. If you're like me, that you're a little bit blind like a bat, I can barely see small stuff. So even with my glasses. So you go over here now. You start, assigning documents. So I want addendum of clauses. You start typing, and it's going to come up. What is it? It's going to tell you the ones that are like your must that you want. Your red ones are your must that you need to do. So it pops up with that. So you begin to you actually start assigning documents. So let's go here. I just want to pick something that, I know is here that is easy for me to find. Sales contract. So let's go, we go contract of sales, and contract of sale, it comes up. So you select contract of sale. Contract of sale starts from page 5. So I'm going to do page 5, and I'm going to go where this contract of sale ends. Keep going until I see. So I know my contract of sale ends on page 11. So 5 to 11 is what we're going to assign. The next thing is escalation clause, or I can make that, because it might actually not even have an escalation clause here. So you want to make that part of your contract of sale, because it's actually is a part of your contract of sale. So because, again, please don't crucify me. I'm just using the forms that I put in there, just for the sake of training, just to show you how to, how to assign stuff. That's all that is. So we'll go to page 13. I want my conventional financing addendum. So I go conventional financing addendum. So it tells you financing addendum, conventional. So I select that. That's on page 14 all the way to page 15. So I go 14 to 15. All I'm just doing is assigning documents. Whatever that document is, you just assign every single thing. It's very easy, very straightforward. And you click split and assign. And you can do it for every single one of your documents. And it's going to ask you, do you want to return to documents, or you want to return to your checklist? Whichever one you want to. Let's return to checklist so you can see. Every single thing that you just assigned, it goes to exactly where you assigned it to. You want to look at it, you can click on that, and boom, it pops up. You can see where you already assigned. It's that simple, folks. Very straightforward. Repetition is very good. Repeat that process, put all the information in there. Once all that is done, you're pretty much good. And what's going to happen is your folder is going to get reviewed by the EXP General Transaction Coordinator. They will review everything, in Skyslope to make sure that every single thing is correct. Some like agent completion file, for example, you need to attach that, MLS shortlisting. Let me show you. How do you get the shortlisting? So what I do is I come over here and I take the shortlisting, I go to print, and you want to look at your shortlisting. You can open this up if you want to do just a one page, agent one page, or whatever it is. You click what you use. I do the full. I always do. I don't know why, but I always click the full. So I go in there to print it. I print it. There might be easier, better ways to do this, but this is what I do. I'll do this, and I just save it to my computer, and I save it and I call it, I give it a title. I say MLS 10608 by the address. And that's what I do. And I save that. Then I go back to my Skyslope. Then I say attach that listed. This pops up. I go in here to upload my documents and I look for MLS 10608, which is right here. You can do it the old-fashioned way, click that and click open, or you can take the entire folder and bring it here and drag it and you just drop it and it uploads it. Let me close out this. It uploads it and the MLS listing is already in there. So there's so many easy ways that you can do it. You always discover new things as you're doing these things. The same thing goes for if I want to attach the agent completion file. I just go over there again and I do that. I know I already have this agent completion file in here, so I just go agent. Okay, it's on my desktop. So I'm going to say agent. I thought it was agency. There you go, agent completion form. I know I had it in there, and you can boom, again, that's a different way of attaching it, and boom, it's attached. So that's it. You do all of that and you are done. You get out of this transaction and you move on to the next thing. Go get on the phone and try and get some more clients. And then what's going to happen is they're going to review it. And once it's reviewed, it's going to start telling you what is needed, what is not needed. So the deal that I just put in there is right here. It tells me that the number of items that I have incomplete is going to keep telling you that. And when they go in to actually look at it, also they'll put notes in there. I'm going to avoid this transaction because I don't want it to be there, because it's not a transaction that I need. And it's going to ask you why you're avoiding it. And just say, I'm going to say training purposes. Don't know how to spell. Huh, interesting. So I'm avoiding that in there. But just to show you, let's look at a transaction that we already have going on here, right? For example, let's pick this. So your checklist, when you go back into your checklist, you're going to start seeing things like this. When everything is done, it's going to go green. It's going to tell you what's approved, what's not, what you need, what's not needed. And that's it, folks. It's very easy, very straightforward. We can go to another transaction that I've done that is not complete. Like this one, for example, if you go into the checklist, it shows me right here, I've got a bunch of stuff that is not in there yet. And the reason on this particular transaction was because I was waiting to make sure that we got ratified before I start putting all that in there, because this could be, a little bit tedious, that if you keep creating contracts and sending offers and they're not, accepted, it creates a lot of work for you and also for the EXP staff. On a different training, I'll show you how you can actually create a folder, get everything done without actually creating a transaction itself, so you don't have to go back in and avoid it. There's so many different tricks and ways that you can do that. But I hope this is helpful. I know it's been a very long process. I'm not sure how long I've been talking, but I hope you guys get something out of this, and I hope this really, really helps you in your business. Thank you so much. I look forward to being of assistance, and you can always call me if you have any questions or concerns. Now I'm trying to figure out how to make this screen bigger so I can do what I need to do and end this. But thank you so much. That is it for the Zip Forms and Skyslope training. Thank you much.